This presentation is on the Epistle to the Hebrews, and I've entitled it Judaism on Steroids. The way that the author differentiates between Judaism and Christianity is to say that Christianity is an eternal form of many of the aspects of Judaism itself. So, if you would rather practice an earthly form of Judaism, follow Judaism. If you want to follow an eternal form of Judaism, which has all of those aspects of Jewish religion, but they are an eternal form, then you would want to follow Christianity, according to this letter. He compares the earthly versus the heavenly in Judaism. In Judaism, righteousness is sought by following human action, which involve people's flesh, like how to be cured of a disease or circumcision or something like that. Whereas in Christianity, the religion is not, you don't get righteousness through the completion of certain rituals, but instead you are made righteous by the Spirit itself, the Holy Spirit of God. In Judaism, people have to fight bodily urges to do what is wrong. I said before that in the New Testament, bodily urges are seen as something that the body naturally wants to do, and the mind, and of course in this case, which is controlled by the Holy Spirit, fights off those bodily urges so that people can be righteous in this new era in salvation history. In other words, the new thing that God has done. In Judaism, you have shadows of a reality. So the priesthood and the sacrifices and all of these other things are, including the temple, are a shadow of the actual reality which appears in heaven. In other words, there's a heavenly priesthood and there's a heavenly temple, and there are heavenly sacrifices. And in Hebrews, Jesus is both the high priest who offers the sacrifice, he is the sacrifice himself, and he makes that offering in a heavenly temple, which is superior to all of the things that a priest would normally do on Yom Kippur. Now, Yom Kippur is celebrated one day of the year, like I said, early October usually. And on that day, the high priest is instructed to go into the temple, which doesn't exist anymore because it had been run down by the Romans. And that priest is to go in, only the high priest is allowed to go. And the only day in which the high priest is allowed to go into a particular room is Yom Kippur. That room is called the Holy of Holies, which means it's the holiest room in all of Israel. And the priest is supposed to take a sacrifice, an animal of some type, and sacrifice it in that Holy of Holies room. That sacrifice cleanses the sins of the community for the year, and then the priest also takes another animal and confers the sins of the community for the last year on that animal, and they send the animal out of town to symbolize or maybe even accomplish the removal of sins from the community.